traders, this is Blake Morrow, and I am super excited to have you all here today. I always wanted to say, are you ready to rumble? In the blue corner, we have Mr. Alex Barrow, and in the red corner, we have Mr. Chris Dover. And I want to introduce my two Marines, brothers in arms. How are you guys? Good to, looking like we lost one. There he is.
Hi.
So,
he was doing push-ups in the corner, getting ready.
He was doing push-ups. Anyway, hey guys, first of all, let me just say welcome to the trading battle. I want to introduce both of you guys. I didn't give you a proper introduction. In the red corner, we do have Chris Dover. He is the founder of Pollinate Trading. Is that right, Chris?
Yes, sir.
Good to see you. And I'm gonna take a few moments and just ask you a little bit about yourself. I know we're all Marines here, so it's exciting to have three Marines here in the house. But tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got to trading.
Sure. I was in the military. I was in the Marine Corps from 95 to 99. When I got out of the Marine Corps in 99, raised in Utah and spent my time in the Marine Corps out in California. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to basically stay here. This is how winter is done. So I went out looking for a job, and I was at like a job fair type place. And of course there were two wonderful looking ladies out front that I had to stop and talk to. As I did, two gentlemen came walking around the corner like, hey, can I talk to you about trading? And I actually wanted to become a trader my whole life. But I didn't realize that the term trading didn't mean stockbroker. So I had spent probably the last 3 months interviewing at a bunch of brokerage firms to be a stockbroker and telling them about all these trading ideas I had. And they were like, cool, get on the phone, 200 calls a day and all that. And I was like, it's not what I want to do.
You only had to do 200.
I don't know, but I didn't do any. Nobody gave me a job. But so this guy says, yeah, we're into trading. You know, what about you? Where'd you go to school? What's your background? I was like, well, I was a Marine, infantry, didn't really do anything as far as, a little bit of school or whatever. He's like, oh, you're an infantry Marine? I said, yeah. He's like, well, that's interesting. So I was an infantry Marine. I was like, I like this guy. And he says, look, you're not really qualified to be a trader. Like we kind of have this, you got to go through school and all that sort of stuff, but you are uniquely qualified to work with me. Okay. He said, basically you're a dumb grunt infantry Marine. So when I tell you to do something, you're going to do it without questioning it. I'm like, that's the skill I have right now. And so he hired me as kind of to follow him around, and he mentored me in trading, put me on his desk, taught me pretty much how to build a system and trade it, and started that. That was .com bubble, April 1999. And I've been trading, whether full-time or part-time, pretty much since then.
Well, that's awesome. So when did you start Pollinate Trading?
So Pollinate was, in fact, Alex and I worked together until 2020 at Macro Ops. I really started to get a lot more into the more short-term trading and very systematic trading, kind of less macro research, which, kind of there started to be this thing of like, why don't I just go down this path? And so in I think it was April or May, right around when my son was born, Alex and I just kind of said, yeah, let's, why don't you just go do that, man? And I was like, let's go. So yeah, right after the pandemic began is when I started Pollinate.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Well, that's a cool story. And I have to imagine that when you saw those two ladies that you had to go talk to, you were doing push-ups at the same time, right?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But there we go. It's something like the sun's out, hands out. I got it. So Alex, tell us a little bit about your story. And I know you were also in the Marine Corps. And we'll talk a little bit Marines a little bit later, but how'd you get involved in the markets, and tell us what you do at Macro Ops? I know you're the
right. Yeah, sure. So a little bit of deja vu here, Blake. I almost felt like we did this last week. But right. I talked to Blake last week. Yeah. So my background, I guess, like the 2-minute skinny, I was also a crayon eating jarhead like these two other handsome fellas. I was in the Marine Corps from 02 to 06. I got started in markets when I was, 12, 13 years old. My dad's CPA. He worked with hedge funds and stuff, and he tried getting me interested in markets. I traded stocks during the .com bubble, lost money. I was just like messing around. I didn't get serious about trading and investing until kind of when I got out in 06, caught the bug, just became an obsession. I did another 10 years between the DOD, GIA, different 3-letter agencies doing contracting work mostly, but building up trading stakes and stuff, losing them. I mean, this was a long time ago now, but I did a stint contracting over in Afghanistan. I went over there to make a big trading stake, and I was doing like intelligence work and stuff, but I literally shipped over, it was like a 300-pound this box of trading books. And I was just living out of a trailer, working 12-hour days, 7 days a week.
You got your rucksack? Well, you know.
Yeah, I know. Super healthy. And yeah, so I was just trading out of this little trailer in Helmand province when I wasn't working or flying around RAO and stuff. Anyways, like, yeah, so I did that. I got back. I met a mentor who was a friend of a friend. This guy, he was a former prop trader, managed money, became independently wealthy, and then he just traded his own money along with a few others and stuff. So I sat under his wing for a while, learned a ton. Yeah, I mean, I just, back and forth, a lot of blown up accounts over the years. And then I wouldn't say it was, gosh, almost 7 years ago now, I started Macro Ops. I worked at a macro research firm for a while, then a small macro hedge fund that went under. And then I left. I was contracting for the FBI doing intelligence and stuff. And I started Macro Ops. Actually, no. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I started Macro Ops. We were kind of doing that for a little bit. I got a job at a big hedge fund. And I was in the process of moving out there. I got cold feet, whatever. And then I ended up cutting ties with that because I didn't want to go and work for a big machine and stuff. It was a large hedge fund. I would have been sitting in meetings, all that. And so I came back from that. I just decided to quit my job doing the contracting government work for good. And I started Macro Ops full time. And so, yeah, I've been doing that for a while now. We launched a foundation fund just earlier last year. And so here we are. That's
awesome. What a cool story. And, it's interesting to always hear other trader stories and how they came to be, especially being that the three of us were in the Marine Corps. We are all three of us, were infantry Marines, and being infantry Marines and how you get to this point at this moment in time is so wild to me. But so at one of these days, I'll obviously tell you guys about my journey, but that's not today because you guys, it's the battle of you two. But I want to talk a little bit because we were talking in the green room backstage. We were talking about Marines handling risk and their discipline. I know in the past when people have interviewed me and they'd always say, "Well, Blake, you were in the Marine Corps. Does that help you in your trading?" And I always would tell them, "Yeah, it has to a certain degree. It's made me really disciplined about getting up at 3:30 in the morning every morning for the last 20 some odd years, being a West Coast Marine." As Chris, you know exactly what I'm talking about, getting up early in our neck of the woods, right? But as far as translating discipline into trading, let's start with you, Chris. How's your Marine Corps discipline? Has it factored into what you do?
No, not really. A lot of people give the Marine Corps a lot of credit in the sense, I'm not going to crap on the Marine Corps here, but it's, I probably get a lot more of the discipline stuff from the sports world. When it maybe a little bit an example that I moved over when I talk to people about how to get good at trading, I talk about a lot of practice and get ready to drink, back testing. And everybody, always says it's why are you paper trading? Why are you trading on fake data? Why are you doing in the back in the past? It's not very useful. When you're really in it, when you're really trading real money, it's completely different. You've got emotions, you've got all these other things happening. I'm like, cool, roger that. You don't have to practice working your weapons. You don't have to practice doing any of your fire team drills. You don't have to practice, clearing hallways. You don't have to practice any of that, because when you're in war and you're getting shot at, it's completely different than just practicing. And that's kind of crazy, right? That's just a crazy concept. Same thing, like you can start today, get in the markets, you can go and compete against the equivalent of LeBron James, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Goldman Sachs, Federal Reserve, Swiss National Bank, JP Morgan Chase, Merrill Lynch, although it's the same thing. It's just you can't get a chance to play against LeBron at that high level without going through all that work. In the markets, you can open an account for like $500 or whatever, and you're going up against JP Morgan, Goldman, all these other people. So what I always say is like, what is the same work ethic that somebody like LeBron, that Kobe had, that Michael had? That's the same sort of work ethic that you need to bring to trading. Because it's like 80, 90, 95% of traders fail. You got to be good. If everybody's saying you don't need to practice, you probably need to be practicing.
That's a great point. Yeah.
And so that I took a lot of that, the mindset of like, my last unit, we became we spent a lot of time. We got into a lot of direct action type missions training. So, we're shooting, 500 rounds a day, practicing, just getting practice, moving down a hallway, sliding down a rope, entering a building, doing all those sort of things. Nobody was shooting at us, but we had to practice that. So that part I carried over, but I don't think the getting up at whatever 5:30 for Reveille and making your bed and standing online like you do in boot camp, I don't think that really carries over too much into trading.
Well, what about you, Alex? What do you think? Have you taken any of what you learned out of the Marine Corps, and has that translated into trading?
Yeah, so I always kind of laugh when people say that, oh, you guys were so disciplined in the Marine Corps, why doesn't it just transfer over to trading and investing? Because they don't know what the Marine Corps pastime is, right? Give Marines some time and a pile of rocks, like we're gonna throw them at each other, and we'll do that for hours
and
break them, yeah. And so the discipline was enforced upon us. Sure, like there's certain aspects of it, like Chris was saying, and there's different levels. Like towards the end of my career in the military, I worked as a scout sniper and stuff, and like you go to sniper school or whatever, you do that type of training. You spend hours and hours and hours dry firing. Where you put something, balance it on the tip of your rifle, and you're just pulling the trigger, making sure there's no jerk, there's no pull or anything like that before you even shoot a round. And then so it's about like repetition stuff. And Chris did a really good job of speaking to that. That's something I really admire about his trading. Like he is all about hitting, going and back testing the crap out of stuff, and getting those reps in. Which is great because when people come and say, hey, I want to get into trading, I'm like, okay, like go fund a small account and then blow it up, and keep doing that until like you learn some basic lessons about yourself, right? Because it's kind of like, I think in markets, the initial hill that most people can't get over is that, we've seen the enemy and he is us, right? That famous cartoon. And it's like about mastering your own demons, knowing yourself and stuff like that, because, I could give you a methodology, a way of thinking about the market, but maybe it doesn't fit your personality, or maybe you're just a gambler at heart. You all have like, there's that quote that Ed Seykota says, like, everybody gets on the market exactly what they want. Some people just want to lose and they just don't know it, right? To paraphrase and bastardize a quote. So that's, I take some, I guess the real thing that I take out of the military, and I've always kind of had it, is just my competitiveness. Like if you're in the Marine Corps, you're already a certain level. You're already a competitor, right?
It's a personality type, right?
It's a personality type, so it self-selects. And then if you go on, especially if you're a grunt, you do those things. Like, so my competitive nature, and my willingness to basically like beat my head against the wall until I get something, I take from the Marine Corps.
Well, that's good. And in the markets, everybody knows that you kind of have to have that, right? You're going to get beat down. Mike asked this question. I want you to address this question really quick because it came from something that you said, Alex. You said you blew up a couple accounts, and he said, "Hey, I heard you mention blowing up accounts. How do you recover from that mentally, from blowing up an account?" and he's asked that question to you because he did hear you say that. What would you say to Mike?
Right. Yeah. You know, I think it's Paul Tudor Jones. He said like he won't even hire a trader unless he's blown up an account or two. And I think that there's a lot of wisdom in that to a certain degree. Just like, okay, so how do you recover from it? It's hard. You know, it's hard. Like when you first, I don't blow up accounts anymore, right? Like first and foremost, like that's the point. That's the main takeaway is risk management is paramount. That is, you know, risk management, position sizing, trade structure, stop losses and stuff. That's 90% of the game. So how do you recover from blowing up an account? Make sure that the account that you blow up isn't too big. So it's not devastating, right? So trade small until you learn the game. Like Chris said, which I love is like, I mean, yeah, you have the ability, like unlike any other profession, to just jump in and play. You're immediately playing against the greats with unlimited firepower, brain power, experience and stuff like that. And so many people think that just because they can open up a trading account that they should go ahead and trade a bunch, right? It's just like, well, if we had the same access to doing open brain surgery on somebody, it's like, would you think that you'd be successful just because you can? And like, there's somebody like willing to like let you operate on. So yeah, I would say, keep the account small. And if you blow it up, just say, I mean, tuition fees high in this game, right? Like I've blown up a number of accounts. One of them was a big account that really hurt. It was a long time ago. And it was a year's worth of contracting money. And it was after I had an amazing run over 6 months. I had all these systems. And then I got full of myself and I thought, okay, I got this game. I'm going to start, upping my position size, letting my losers run, like doing everything wrong. Then I blew it up, right? Which is how most of it goes. So, yeah.
And what do you say? And Chris, I want to ask you this really quick. I'm going to ask you just because, I'm sure you've been in this situation. We all have. When you are devastated in the market, do you come to that realization, or how long did it take you to come to that realization that you just can't make it all up in one trade? Because I think that's what happens with a lot of people, right? They get over leveraged. They're in one position. They get laser focused on that position. Of course, it turns on them. It devastates them, and then they feel that they have to make that money back all in one trade. But is that possible? What do you say, Chris?
It's actually very hard because, yeah, for sure, the competitiveness is there. If I have a big position that's a loser that ends up being a loser, competitively, I want, okay, now let's go. I'm back in the game. Let's do it. I want to step up and go. But what I find is position sizing to me is the tool that I take advantage of the most. If for example, the size of my position varies greatly on every single trade based on my risk, of course. But I also take, I understand what the market regimes are in. I understand where everything's at, and I have algorithms that help me with my position sizing. But I'll override the algorithm if I know I'm not there. There's no point in me, saying, oh, this is a 1% risk position here. And I'm mentally hurt. There could be something with the energy that I'm like putting out in the world that's going to say like, oh, you're just going to take another loser because you need to learn this lesson. And so I'll drop it down to 0.25% risk, 0.1% risk, and maybe just, even down to 0.5%. Really, because yeah, it may take me a month to earn back one trade at that, an average, I don't know, like 2-hour position or something like that. It may take me a whole month to earn all that back, but I'm also going to have the statistical residue and I'm going to have the effort, right? I'm going to have all that stuff in there,
you're creating confidence too, right? Even if you're just chipping away, you're becoming more confident in your ability because. Yeah, it does. You get the wind taken out of you when it's in a big loss, and you take a big stinker, and you're like, man, I'm the worst trader in the world. But it's really just position sizing. From what I'm getting from you guys, it's all about position sizing and getting back in the game, right?
It is for me.
All right. Well, speaking about getting in the game, before we move on to our first challenge, which is, I'm glad we're talking about size because as everybody knows size does matter. That's what she said, right? But sorry. It's, you know, our conversations here really go downhill fast between the three of us. So I'm going to try to keep
a couple of Marines. Yeah,
I know.
I'm surprised we made it
a little bit
this
more
far.
time. It's going to get uglier, guys.
But let's before we go on, I want to say that you guys and gals, thank you for being here. Make sure if you like what you're seeing here, subscribe to the channel, the Trading Battle channel. Make sure you give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube. We got a surprise for you at the very end. So I want to make sure that you all stick around for a little surprise from the three of us. But let's get into our first challenge. So the first challenge is going to be Chris Dover. You get to either select for Alex Barrow. You get to select an asset or a position size of your choice for him to trade. What say you, Chris?
I'm definitely going to let Alex choose his own position size. I feel since we are trading charity here for money, I feel since that's probably my biggest lever and I think probably the most useful thing, I would say that Alex, you get to choose the size of your position,
sir. I mean, this is quite the prisoner's dilemma. I mean, you're expecting some reciprocity here.
Our RNS team, I could always rely on the RNS to have our back. So I'm gonna expect it.
So what are you gonna have Alex trade, Chris?
Okay, so Alex knows what I'm probably gonna say, but I'm not gonna do it. I'm not going to do it to you. I'm going to give you the Hang Seng.
Ooh, a little Hang Seng. So, Alex, we're gonna take a moment to like think about like how you want to trade it. Matter of fact, if you want to pull up your charts, pull up that Hang Seng. I know you're running some Bloomberg charts over there, and show the viewers kind of what you're thinking and how are you going to trade it. What kind of size are you going to trade on the Hang Seng?
Sure. Okay. So you want me to share the screen?
Yeah, share the screen, and let's first and foremost talk about I guess, you know, if you're going to trade the Hang Seng, are you going to be more bullish or bearish at this point? It's kind of tricky in today's markets, right? After having a nice sizable bounce off of some lows, how are you going to trade this monster, and why?
Okay, so let's see. This is not one I've traded in a long time. So our trading challenge is 5 days. This is definitely not in my normal MO operating window. That's cool. So usually I'm a little bit more of a position long-term trader. I like to start, doesn't matter what time frame though. I always like to start with the longer time frames. And then I kind of just drill down, right? Because you get a better picture. I use a lot of Al Brooks kind of bar by bar analysis. Similar to Chris a little bit. And so, you know, okay, so we could just look at this, right? If you could see my chart, we get the Hang Seng index up. This is a monthly. It's come down off its monthly Bollinger Bands. It reversed off of this kind of a clear level right here, right? Okay, so we got that. You got a strong reversal candle last month. It closed on its highs. That means, you know, bears tried 3 times to push below these levels right here. 3 times they failed, ended up on its high end. You know, I could go in the last 2 weeks. I've been talking about why it's, you know, it's a good time to start adding back risk for a short-term swing or something. Expect a couple weeks up move in risk assets. So
do you feel that the same? I'm sorry, Alex. Do you feel the same way because it's a Chinese market? I mean, it's the Hang Seng. Do you know? Are you going to put on risk, or are you? Does what's happening in mainland China affect the Hang Seng so much, or is that just more risk in general?
Right. Okay. So yeah, I mean, if I'm looking at the Hang Seng, like we actually made the decision to not touch Chinese assets. A while, not too long ago at Macrops, because we don't want to support the CCP basically, and they sit at the top of the capital structure. So we're just like, you know, you guys are done. We're not funding you. But so I mean, the way I look at this, like I always start, you know, from the big picture, right? And so, you know, if I'm looking at, you know, a risk asset like the Hang Seng's, you know, qualifies for that. So, you know, what the big stuff that's going to drive up, you know, S&P, whatever is also going to drive up the Hang Seng. So, I'm looking at risk on, risk off. I'm kind of bullish risk the next few weeks. And so probably the next 5 days. What's going on in China? So, I mean, they just, they're walking back quietly their COVID zero policy, right? It was just a couple weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, they had something like over 65% of their effective GDP with either restricted or limited mobility. And, which is just a kind of a heinous sunk cost policy, if you ask me. But finally, they realized, probably because it wasn't super popular, that they're, starting to walk it back. That's generally probably pretty bullish. And so, yeah, like I want to be long this thing. The monthly chart looks pretty good to me. Let's see, I could go down. We could look at it on pull it up on the daily. Okay. So here's what I'm looking at. First, you have, what I showed on the monthly. You have a kind of a deeply oversold reversal on the monthly off the monthly below Bollinger Band at significant support. We want to be long. Here we have, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse, but yeah, I think you can. Yeah. Okay. So here we have capitulatory selling. Boom. That gets bought. We come back, we retest the lows for a typical double bottom. Right here is, the SQN that gives market regimes. Chris will probably go more into that. But so this chart looks generally bullish to me. It's not my top pick, but okay. If I'm going to trade this thing, I definitely want to be long. So I right. So here you have, some decent, buyings pulling over. You have, maybe resistance line that's going to kind of come out here. But yeah, I want to buy this chart. You can nestle a stop in right below here. Let's see. Let me make this a little bit. You can nestle a stop in here right below this low right here. Get a trade on with some decent size.
Okay, so you're gonna go a little bit more aggressive, I'm in
it to win it, right? We have so you know what? So I have 5 days, right?
Yeah.
So this is a daily. So I'm gonna go down and let's drop down. So okay, so I have 5 days to make money. Let's see. Yeah, I would. I'm gonna nestle in my stop. I don't actually never work off 30 minutes. So let's go to an hour. This is not my time frame, but we can rock it. All right. So, okay. So here we go. Like, we have these little trading zones right here. I wouldn't typically buy here, but if I have to, okay, sure. I'm long, I'm buying right here. I'm going to nestle in a stop right here. If I get stopped out, that's fine. The trade's dead for me. I get some size on it, and so if we're trading this challenge, then we gotta have some size on if we want to win.
All right. Well, Alex is going long Hang Seng, and he's going to put some size on the trade. So he's going to size it up. He's not trading small because size does matter, and that's the way he's going to trade it. That's cool. Hey, Chris, that was like sending Alex into a firefight, looking at his his fruit salad and saying, hey, you didn't even get your pistol qual. So here, take a Beretta and go have fun against that fire team over there. So you sent him into a firefight with a little Beretta. So now, Alex, what are you going to do? You now get the second challenge is you get to pick what size Chris trades. Chris, you get to choose your own asset class, but Alex, you get to tell him if he gets to trade like a big boy or not. What do you say?
Yeah, he gets one micro lot on whatever he picks. No, no, I'm not going to do that to him. He was kind enough. I will return the favor. Chris D, you choose your size, brother.
Thank you, sir. I know you know how much I enjoy size.
Yeah.
Now your video froze a little bit there. I'm not sure.
Yeah. All right. Let me see if it's.
We lost him. And while he's fixing that really quick. So you haven't traded the Hang Seng in a while then, Alex?
No, yeah. I mean, like I said, we just decided not to touch China. So I mean, something I've been doing with my trading, I like enforcing constraints because it's a
Yeah.
big, especially if you're a global macro guy and you could trade any market, any asset. Well, that's a lot, right? So and we're doing this for our fund. You know, I don't believe in the ESG nonsense because of the whole marketing scheme. But I do believe, you know, in trying, you know, like impact investing or whatever you want to call it. Like, yeah, I'm not going to go and fund Putin's war machine, and I'm not going to go fund, you know, Xi so he could do whatever he's doing, all the horrible things he's doing in China, right? So it's just not my bag, you know.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense, and you know what? I totally respect that. So, Chris, have we got you back?
I mean, I'm here. I just can't seem to get my video going. I don't understand.
How about this? If you can you share your screen and actually let's see if we can see your chart.
See if that works. Yeah.
Yeah, let's see if that works. Good, because although you know you are a very handsome devil dog, we really just care about your charts.
I get you. I get you.
Let's see if we can do that. And oh, there we go. All right, we got you. All right. So what are you going to be trading? What are you going to be trading here, Chris?
So I think Alex gives me the asset, doesn't he? Because he gave me the position on position size.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
So
yeah.
Okay.
Venezuelan bolivars. No. So yeah. All right, dude. Let's see. Let's.
By the way, Alex, I had it set up exactly how you did it. So.
Oh, there you go. Good job, sir.
Great minds.
Okay, let's. I assume we're sticking to futures here.
Well,
you can trade CFDs, you can trade cryptos.
Okay, let's. All right.
You can do pretty much everything in 8Caps universe is crypto, equities, commodities, futures, currencies. Equity
single stocks too, CFDs for them, right?
Stocks,
cool. Yeah, I'll give you the T notes.
Yeah. Okay.
Ooh,
bummer.
Let's see. What are you going to do with the bond market? What are you going to do with the bond market?
Actually, so let me use their symbol here, 10-year.
Okay. Now I'm getting word that we need some other than the bond market. So do you have? Yeah. Sorry, that one's not going to be a go.
So anything but the bond market. Okay.
Anything but the bond market.
Wow.
All right. Well, you know what? Chris was gonna throw this one at me. Chris, you have the US dollar, sir.
Ooh. All right. How come I have a feeling Chris knows exactly what he wants to do with the dollar right now? So
I don't know.
What do you do, Chris?
I pretty much just fade Alex on the dollar. So I should.
That's a pretty high returning system right there. I gotta tell you, man, dollar's my nemesis.
It is a long running joke between us. So okay, dollar. Let's take a look. All right. Well, significant. We're at a triple high, just like Alex. I like to start with a monthly. We have a 3 drive, and we're stalling right there. But that doesn't mean anything because if we look at the different currency, are you saying DXY or actually what can I trade on 800 cap? Is it any dollar cross or
you could trade some of the dollar. You could trade it's 8Cap, and you can trade some of the dollar pairs. If you want to trade like the euro and just do it as the inverse of the dollar, because you're going to have 56% of the dollar index is made up.
Are you good with that, Alex?
Cool. Yeah, do it.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't know if that one's tradable.
Now do keep in mind we have the ECB this week, so yeah, I'm not sure if you trade exclusively currencies. It's just something that I know is on my radar this week. So
I trade it all. Okay, cool. Yeah, ECB Wednesday, Thursday, something like that. So that'll be nice. That'll give me some a potential catalyst there. So as Alex probably, let's go. Let me do some real.
By the way, while you're pulling this up, Alex with a K, last name K, says, I like Alex's name, but my gut says Chris is going to crush this. So,
elbow cough.
Elbow cough.
Hey, Alex, you don't deserve that name, brother. Come on, man.
Your bonus is in the mail, dude. That's whatever. Okay, so for me, yeah, it looks pretty balanced. Longer term, we're right about where it's been historically, kind of found its footing. Let me take the training wheels off real quick. Yeah, historically, this is where we found its footing. So I know Alex is bullish on this one too, or was a week or two ago. So I got that going against me. I think he got bullish like right in here anyway. So good on him.
Good call.
Yeah. So yeah, it seems to be holding up that same little area there on the weekly. We got 5 days. So I got the ECB coming up. It'll be is that GDP tomorrow? Lagarde. So the 10th. So Friday.
Thursday? Yeah, we're gonna have ECB actually on Thursday. So
Thursday. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay. So on the daily, it's just been this trend line right here, is obviously been pretty strong for the last year or this year. And then of course we got ourselves a nice little wedge. I don't trade off these. I just like that these give me context of what people are going to be looking at. And so what I really want to be doing is trade the trader, not trading the wedge, the Fibonacci, the thingamadoodad, or whatever the special secret stuff that happens. It looks like we're moving into a pretty good inflection point is ultimately what I'm getting at right here. So what I want to do is I want to wait for something to happen here. Now I'll bring it down to a lower time. Well, let's keep it on this time frame. See if we have anything here. Nothing there. Okay, so we got a little bounce off the bottom there. Actually, let me bear quiet. So the trend is basically your friend in a bear quiet. I'm going to cheat a little bit because I keep stats on this stuff. You guys can't see this one, can you? Let me see if I can share this, since this is probably useful to. Here we go. You guys see my spreadsheet there?
We do not. Now we do.
There we go.
Yes, now we got it.
Okay. So I just want to see how long it spends in bear quiet. 20% of its life is spent in the bear quiet regime in the last 20 years or so. So that to me tells me that it's not a reversing type. Like I don't have to just guess that it's going to reverse right away. Out of that, the SQN down here, this indicator in here gives me, which you guys will see in about a second. There you go. This histogram down at the bottom is the system quality number. And it just helps me identify market regimes and how useful that is. So for the euro, it's in a bear quiet. It spends 20% of its life in that, which is that red histogram. You can see it's spent a lot of time there. So what that indicates is it doesn't mean that it's going to turn on a dime and become instantly bullish like equities that spend like 80% of their life in the bullish regime. You can pretty much just say, okay, I just need to find a reason to buy eventually, or not do much in between. Currencies trade completely different. So, okay, what I'm going to be looking at is probably getting above this. If we get above this guy right here, and I got this will give me a nice position size because I'll be able to size it right in here. Luckily, it's actually similar looking to Hang Seng. So yeah, I'll be looking for this thing to get above that. And if it gets above there, I'll take the entry. So I'll be using a buy stop to get long on this thing, and maybe a move up to the Bollinger or something like that.
So you think that the breakout is going to occur this week because we're in such a tight range? We have some event risk later on this week. It should break either upside or the downside this week.
Well, that's not coming into my calculus, other than I know that there is volatility that's going to be arriving to the market, and people are probably going to be, either they're going to sit and wait for it, or they're going to anticipate it and get in there. I, would rather not sit and just, guess on this. But for me, the price action says we're up, and we do have a pretty good inflection point here. So the likelihood, I've got a low risk move, and then if we've got the measured move, I mean, there is a potential 20-cent measured move opportunity. I'm not saying that trade is about to happen, not 20 cents right away, unless there's a werewolf riot or something like that happens. But on the long-term time frame, we have a potential 40%. So getting up to the 140s is a potential from here, and it could kick off right here. This would be a decent spot to see it. That's what.
Okay, so let me ask you this: since you get to pick out your own size, so what are you going to trade? Are you going to be aggressive? Are you going to be looking aggressive at the turn? Or are you going to take a smaller position? How are you going to size it up?
So I'm going to risk. Normally, I risk 1%. On, or depending on the account I'm trading, anywhere from 0.25% risk up to 1% risk. But as as we are going for charity, I could maybe crank it up a little bit.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
We'll see, because my stop is so tight on this one. If it gets stopped out, I'm losing just a little bit. But if it goes, this thing could be right there. Unfortunately, knowing that we are coming into ECB, that likely means a stop out. So I might have to take a couple stabs at it before I actually get it.
Got it. So you're looking at, and it's hard for me to see your charts, but you're looking at maybe a move above 107. Looks like about 107.20, 107.30. Stop somewhere below 106.50. And you're risking more than just 1%, probably risking like 2 or 3%. Do I got that correct?
Yeah. Since we're not playing the drinking game here, where we drink every time I say back test, I'm only going to do 2%. If we were doing the drinking every time I say back test, we probably would be trading 5%. So.
Awesome. All right. Well, hey, that's a good setup, and I like the breakout opportunities. And being it is an ECB week, and a lot of people you saw it when you first drew that triangle in your charts that we're poised to break out. So I think that's a good choice there, Chris. I like it.
Thank you. I still don't have a camera.
I know you still don't have a camera. So while you're working on that, let's turn it over to Alex, and we're going to go into our third challenge. And Alex, you've got the next 5 days. Choose whatever you want to trade and tell us the reason why. Show us some charts too.
Cool. All right. So I get the next 5 days. I get to put on a trade. Here, let me see if I could show you this.
And Chris is busy working on his camera because we want to see you, Chris. We do.
Okay. All right. So no, not that one.
There we go.
What are you seeing right now? Can you see this?
We're seeing macro ops, and looks like an index, I think.
Okay. Yeah, you're seeing that. Okay, gotcha. All right. So I'm gonna be trading the Russell, right? Yeah. I'm going long the Russell with a tight stop. And I'm just going to show you a quick dashboard of why I'm generally long risk. It's real basic. Here's our trend fragility index. It's an aggregate of number of positioning, sentiment, technical indicators. We're down at we hit the 4th percentile. Generally, when we get here, we hit bottoms, right? We were down here last time near the COVID bear market low. And here again, down major bottom, right? It doesn't mean we're at a significant bottom or anything. It just means that the odds favor a bit of a run, right? And so we could see some of the components. I mean, you look at like aggregate US index flows, those are near the 0th percentile. Net speculator positioning for the major US indices and futures, bear, bull, bear, name, whatever. Okay, so that and a number of other reasons I generally want to be long. First and foremost is price action. So let's go back to the Windows. Okay. All right. So I'm hoping you can see this. Okay. So
I can. Yeah. Yep.
Cool. All right. So I'm looking at the Russell. Again, I mean, we could, I usually start from far out and then I just zoom in. So I want to be long risk assets. I like the US here. If you've been tracking the major indices, the Russell small caps have been showing better relative strengths over the last few weeks. So that's a good thing. We saw the Russell come back. This is a monthly chart. Came down, tapped its lower monthly Bollinger Band, which also happens to be major support along these levels. Put in a doji last month. Action's looking pretty good so far. We could, then it's, this is just,
go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, while you're pulling that up, you are the very first person I've ever seen tactical Bloomberg charts. That's awesome. Love it.
Yeah, I'm only doing this completely for show because Bloomberg charts are total garbage.
Yep. I love it. First time. I've been around for like 25 years trading. This is the first time I've ever seen it. I love it.
I spend 90% of my time. It's an overpriced bell and whistle, right? So I got to get my freaking money's worth.
$2,800 worth, yes, sir.
Yeah, exactly. So all right, so here it is on the weekly. Similar thing. You can see came down, tapped that support. I could also show you, but it's a pain in the ass to change my screen share here. So we could do a statistical analysis on what the Russell tends to do after 5 bearish weekly bars within a certain market regime. It's positive. All right, so you can just take my word for it because I don't want to take up too much time running this. Okay, so there we go. We start big, we go down smaller and smaller. Daily is the time frame that I like to operate on as far as getting in and out of things. So we have this chart. You could say, okay, there's a downward bearish channel. It's it's in a bear volatile bear quiet regime, but the action's looking better, and like for the reasons positioning sentiment, we got a number of major breadth thrust last week. And all things are indicative of a very typical bottom, right? And so I'm not going all in here, but I would, if we've been holding like high amounts of cash the last couple months, right? So I would be adding back some risk here, trying to get more balance. I don't know where the market's going to go. We're expecting that we're in a larger volatile sideways regime. So our time frame for our trading has moved down from weeks to months to more like days and weeks, right? And so okay, I want to buy this chart. If I trading this, I would have bought today, where it would have been triggered, pulled into a long today or an ad, right? So I'd buy this one at the markets and then put a stop in right below.
It's around 1919 on the Russell currently, and the IWM is about 191. So you're looking to get long at current levels.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. And you're looking to be long for the next 5 days. And where's your stop going to be, Alex?
Yeah, and again, since this is a 5-day competition, I'm in it to win it. I'm going to place the stop. I'm going to place a stop on a closing basis right below today's low.
Got it. All right. Good idea. I like it. Chris, what do you got? And it's good to see you. Glad to have you back on camera. So you got 5 days, long, short. What do you want to trade? Give us an asset. Show us your charts.
All right. The funny thing is Alex and I basically trade the same.
You guys work together. It's crazy. So you got to short the NASDAQ And what are you going to do then? No, I'm just kidding.
Yep.
Joking.
No, that never happens in my world. That's the thing you don't do.
Short and hot.
I like to keep my account.
All right. What do you got? What do you got?
So I was going to do this one for you, Blake, because I saw you post on your Twitter something about the pound.
Yeah, the cable, sure.
Yeah, your favorite.
I love trade.
That is literally the second trade idea I had up after the Russell.
Nice.
I've got three. I got three, but since I'm doing the euro, that's just a little too obvious. Let me do USO USD is the symbol they use, 8 cap. So I'm gonna go crude.
Oh, you're gonna go crude.
I'm gonna get long above yesterday on crude. Ultimately, what it comes down to is we're in the bull quiet market regime. I'm not going to pull up my stats, but I'll just let you guys hear that it just like the S&P stays in a blended bull regime 90% of the time. Crude spends 80% of its time in that regime. And the characteristics of that market regime is that it just goes higher. It just drifts higher. You pretty much just want to be long. So for me, we're there. Everything, this green histogram basically says be long. And so I am. And so it's just a simple trend following. I'll get pulled into the trade above today's yesterday's high. And like Alex, I'm going to put my stop right below it because we are going for charity. So I'm going to go for it. And nice. I'm going 2%. If my account can handle that, 4% total exposure, I think, because of the tight risk here. So I'll be taking crude, and that will be won't do it there. Let's go crude here. Actually, let's do CL2 because we went negative on the front. It's still, a lot of people don't realize we traded into the almost 148, 150 back in the global financial crisis. So it's not unprecedented, especially because we are above our previous swing high. I'm stoked. Let's talk about our charities.
All right. Yeah, let's do it. Hey, you know what? I think that's a great trade idea. A lot of people are trying to fade this strength, but look, crude looks strong. As much as I don't like it, and, as human beings in the human race, we don't like this rallying crude. It looks
$15 gas prices are coming.
It's great. Don't even go there. Gosh, you're going to kill me. All right. So, hey, real quick, I want to know how do I follow you guys, and where do I find you guys? And we're going to start with you, Alex. Where do I find you, and what charity are you trading for today?
Okay, yeah, you can find me on Twitter at MacroOps, or go to my website www.macro-ops.com. And I am trading for MAPS. I don't know if you guys are familiar with MAPS, but they are a large charity. They do a bunch of research into using psychedelics for mental health, drug research policy, education. I'm a big fan of it. I've been donating to them for a long time. I'm a big benefactor of plant medicine. I work with a lot of people who struggle with mental health, and especially former military and stuff who struggle with PTSD and stuff like that. And our system is currently broken. And using psychedelics in a therapeutic sense under the right set and setting and guidance and stuff can be powerful medicine. And so, yeah, if I win, my money's going to MAPS.
Awesome, that is great. And wait, and Chris, before you get started on how we follow you, I just want to mention, guys and gals, don't go anywhere because we got something a little special for you. Just a little quick something. Soon as Chris is done. So, Chris, how do we find you? And who are you? Who are you going to trade for today?
Okay, you can find me at Chris D as in Delta Macro on the Twitters, and pollinatetrading.com is the website. You can find me there. And I'm trading for Wall Street Bound, which helps underprivileged youth achieve more, as they say, basically getting inner city youth into Wall Street. They work with a number of different things. When I worked with Macro, I'm still with Macro or Maverick Trading as a prop firm. They basically help get people into trading, whether you want to get into trading or research or anything else, they're a stepping stone to get to live trading. So as much as I believe in the power of trading, I believe that it is a permissionless meritocracy. Anybody can get in and trade this stuff, but you got to be good, which is the best part about trading. And if you can't get in, well, you can't do it. And this is even, it's that last little step to get people into it. So I love this. I love this charity.
That is awesome. I love the charities you guys selected. So well done. So one of the things that we wanted to do as a kind of a little special for everybody in the trading battle community, want to start or end off with just a 2-minute PG-13 max story, little Marine Corps story, and I'll kick it off. And I'm going to do mine really quick for you guys. When I joined the Marine Corps, it was 1989. I was 17 years old. We knew we were going into Iraq. We knew that we were going to go after, Saddam Hussein. And so when myself, my two best friends, we joined the Marine Corps together. And you guys probably laugh because we all took our ASVABs and we all got to select our MOSs. And we all talked. We were like 17 years old. We're like, we're going to go to war, because we were like, what else are we going to do? Just let's go. So we decided we'd go in the Marine Corps. And when we went to the recruiter, took our ASVAB, and I said, I want to be a grunt. And he's like, Morrow, you can do whatever you want to do. You don't have to be a grunt. You go do that. I'm like, no, man, send me to the front lines. That's what I'm going to do. So I signed up as an 0311 ground pounder, like these two guys. And so when we came out of the recruiter's office, I'm with my other two best friends. I'm like, hey man, we're going to go to Iraq. And they're like, and I'm like, man, we're going to be on the front lines. They're like, no, no. And I'm like, what do you mean? No. And my buddy Sean, he goes, oh man, I'm going to be an aircraft ordnance. And then my other buddy Donald, he goes, dude, I'm going to drive tanks. And I'm like, wait, I'm the only one that's a grunt. And of course, I ended up seeing both of those guys. One of them in Somalia, like on the ground. His tank battalion drove right past me, and then we got to chat for a while. And one of my other buddies, Sean, he ended up being a C-130 navigator, and he flew and saw me in Guam and a couple other different places over the course of 4 years. So that was my quick 2-minute story. Let's go to you, Chris. What do you got?
Man, there were some limitations on this that I want to let everybody know. When Blake said we got to come up with a 2-minute story that's PG-13 rated, Alex and I just kind of looked at each other like, this guy. Like, I was only in for 4 years. There's like nothing that could have happened that was PG-13 in my first 4 years. That only happens as you spend more time in there because you're 20 and out in Thailand or whatever. So I'm going to talk about the best night of sleep I've ever had in my entire life. And you get some really good sleep in the Marine Corps, mostly because you get a lot of no sleep in the Marine Corps. In the infantry, especially, 2-3 days, no sleep, maybe, a half hour here, half hour there. You get really cuddly with your teammates in the Marine Corps when you're out in the cold mountains, and, the mission gear list was basically you're just bringing your camis and your weapons, and that's it. If it rains on us, well, whatever, we're here to do war and stuff. But this one, we were out doing gas and oil platform, taking down gas and oil platforms in the Pacific Ocean off of Santa Barbara, Cupertino, that whole area. If you've ever driven the PCH, whatever, like look off to the side, you see those gas and oil platforms. So we were, I don't know, 2 weeks into the training, and we would basically they'd bring us in on a helicopter. We'd slide off on the on fast ropes, and then take down a terrorist or something like that. It was training. But we were so mobile, we didn't really have places to sleep, and it's very common in the Marine Corps that you just sleep where you're at. So we just decided to sleep on the GoPlat, the gas and oil platform. Kind of lay down on it. Now, the coolest thing about a gas and oil platform is it's constant humming, and you throw your earplugs in, and it's just, and you got the ocean crashing waves on it. It was spectacular. Still, I remember this sleep as the best sleep I've ever had in my entire life.
Wow.
PG-13.
PG-13. Hey, I'm proud of you, Chris. That was great. Now, Alex, you did dig deep, and good for you, Devil Dog. All right. So what do you got, Alex?
Yeah, so this one time, me and all my Marine buddies were down at this brothel in Tijuana. No, I'm just messing around.
I've been there. I've been there. I know that.
Yeah, you know the place.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, PG-13. Okay, so I had to dig deep for this one. So this is a story of this Lance Corporal Huckabee, and it doesn't matter his name because every unit has a Huckabee.
Oh, yeah.
So this was we got back from a tour. We were running an indoc for Sniper Platoon. An indoc is a week long of hell, right? It's the initial filter before you go through the 6-month spin up and weeding out. So 4 days of no sleep, hardly any food, and it's me and my guys, and we're just thrashing them in the hills of Duluth. I don't know if you guys know where that is in Camp Pendleton, but anyways, it's high up in the mountains. So we got all these young guys who, they just got back from their first tour. A lot of them were replacements. So they had like 4 months, came in, joined our unit over in combat, and they're back. So they're still pretty fresh. And we're just running them through the ropes, up and down hills, thrashing them, putting them on just like ridiculous missions and stuff. And after the end of the first day, this Lance Corporal Huckabee comes up and he's like, "Sergeant Barrow, I think something's wrong. Like my left foot's really hurting." And I'm like, "Oh, are you quitting? Like, are you done?" I'm just quit. And you're out. You could go back to your warm bed, a hot meal and all that. He's like, no, something feels wrong with my foot. I'm like, hey, you could tap out and you could go see the corpsman, right? And he's like, no, I'm in it. I'm like, okay, and so and he was one of those guys. We all knew he wasn't going to make it through the indoc. But everybody can try. So we go on, we do another day. These guys are just totally gassed. I see him like limping really bad and everything. And I'm like, Jesus, like maybe something is wrong with his foot. Maybe I should go to a corpsman. I go up to him like, "Hey, how's your foot?" He's like, "Oh, it's not, it really hurts, but I'm okay. I don't want to tap out." I'm like, "Hey, that's on you. But like the corpsman's right over here. If you want to tap out, it's fine. Most people can't make it through this, right?" And he makes it to the third day, and the guy can barely walk. And so he finally comes up to me, and he's like, "I don't think I could do it anymore." So I'm like, "Okay." So I bring him over to the corpsman, and the corpsman sits him down. And he's like, "All right, let's have you take off your boots so we can check out your feet." Well, while he goes to start untying his boots, the corpsman's like, "Dude, your boots are on the wrong feet." This guy, I swear to God, did 3 days of no sleep running up and down hills with like 80 to 100 pounds on his back, wearing his left boot on his right foot and vice versa. And I mean, he was from nice guy, but a total goober. And so
we all have them. That's the unique thing about the infantry and the Marine Corps. Boy, they come in all shapes and sizes, don't they?
They sure do.
They do. Hey, I want to thank you guys really for a very enjoyable trading battle. I think this was awesome having the two of you guys together. I'd love to, Chris, since you and I are in the same neck of the woods, like literally 3 miles down the road, we should go have a beer sometime, maybe a few, and we'll
I'm with you.
We'll zoom Alex in. How about that?
Yeah, if you guys ever come up to Alaska, we could have some beers and hunt some bears.
Nice. And I want to thank everybody, the men and women that are listening in today and to today's trading battle. Hope you guys and gals learned a lot today, and that was a lot of fun. And on behalf of 8CAP and the Trading Battle crew, I want to thank you all for being with us today. We'll catch you on the next Trading Battle.